I mean, they both just want to like play the set really quickly. And we are starting on River Drift.
Yep, River Drift. Another one of the maps of all time.
It sure is one of the maps of all time. And we do see one of the standard River Drift openings from both of them with the double harmony here.
The harmony mirror!
I guess you could say that both players are quite in harmony with each other. I'm sorry, chat. And now we see the aggressive play from Ljovynn with the steel heel. And we see quite a strong Marina from the Jack right here. Both sides kind of just going very aggro right away.
That was a really good Marina from Jack, including the special block placement.
Exactly. There is some combo potential later on with the... What's it called? One of the duels? I think the Dapple duelies. If Jack runs that. We just have to wait and see what both players do right now. Ooh, that's a very important move from Jack. Also blocking off the special point as well.
He ate that special block. That's going to go down in Tableturf history as one of the hardest reads of all time.
And that's a very good play from Jack. And Ljovynn trying to aggro in, but like just barely getting blocked off with the guards.
And Ljovynn's in though. Ljovynn's in.
Ljovynn just barely makes it through. And just getting like some small overlaps every now and then. And at this point, Jack doesn't really have that much space left when Ljovynn does. So despite the very good blocks from Jack, Ljovynn was just barely able to make it through.
Now the real question is, what does Ljovynn do with this space?
They're probably gonna try to like get some more special. Since while Ljovynn does have like a lot of space, they don't really have that much special compared to Jack, who has 2 more special points and does still have like a little bit space to get into Ljovynn's base because of the tri-stringer they played earlier.
Yep. And Jack's not out of this yet by any means. He's out of space, but he's still got at least 1 card worth of Ljovynn's base to hang out in, assuming he drew the right stuff.
Exactly. And Ljovynn doesn't really have that much cards to play right now. But I just try to block it off a little bit. Which does work out kind of decently, but at the same time, those 2 specials from Ljovynn might be very difficult to like obtain.
Yeah, Ljovynn's bricked right now. And there's still like, if you mentioned the Dapple dualies earlier, I believe if Jack has that, it's playable in that little...
But we see the standard 10 attack combo with the Axe that was played earlier. And Ljovynn, yeah, just has to give up, doesn't really have anything. And Jack winning game 1.
It was a fairly close game until Ljovynn bricked multiple turns in a row.
Exactly. And now we get to see where Ljovynn brings Jack for the game 2.
Are we going to see the salty run back? Are we going to see an interesting stage? Or are we going to see box seats?
Well, we're not going to see box seats because Jack did ban it.
Jack did ban box seats.
Which honestly, relatable. It seems like they're going for over the line. Which is a very interesting stage where both players don't really have like access to the opposing base, but they do have 2 special points. And it's kind of just the Ljovynn wall as a map. So Ljovynn definitely being way more experienced with the wall, of course.
There's a reason the wall's named after him, after all.
Exactly. And we see both of them open with the tri-stringer, having very similar plans. Ljovynn does have the option for the turn 2 special if they want, but it seems like they're playing a bit more defense for the start.
Yeah, I'm with Ljovynn on this. What I would call a deep defensive play on turn 2, because Jack's gonna have to play something very oddly specific in order to get through this.
Exactly.
And there's also no rule saying you can't just drop the Pearl Drum next turn or anything.
Exactly, and we can also maybe see that Ljovynn trying to first get a bit more pressure to like get it with a bigger card potentially. But we kind of just have to wait and see what Jack does first.
The DJ Octavio.
Also kind of blocky enough, but at the same time, that does give Ljovynn some cards, some like space to special over later on in the game. Oh, as you can see, that Ljovynn kind of just put a big empty space so that Jack can't really get much from specialing early on.
Yeah, Jack's gonna want to get another.
Ooh,
He's gonna want to get a special block down there to.
Exactly. And we
But he might not have time. I don't know if I like this special or not. And the reason I say that is because
I can see what Ljovynn is cooking. Because
it technically works as a Pierce. If Jack happens to play something like that, it doesn't work. It goes Ljovynn special.
Mostly, except for the ballpoint spending that does fit quite nicely in that spot later on, which is probably what Ljovynn is going for in a little bit. But Jack does actually like completely pierce through, just barely, even though it did mostly did get eaten by the better color screen.
Yep.
But one little block just barely went through, which could be very big for Jack. And we'll see how the Ljovynn defends against this.
Does Ljovynn defend against this? Jack's in your base. We saw how that went last game.
Exactly. So Jack goes very aggro right now. This looks very rough for Ljovynn right this moment. So the Sploosh Medic does fit there. It's mostly damage control at this point. We see that Ljovynn has set up a few combos with the Rockenberg, with the ballpoint Splatling, but will it be enough to actually get back into the game?
I hope there's a perfect clash with that ballpoint Splatling when it gets played.
That would be kind of funny, honestly. But it seems like Jack just has a lot of space in their own turf and just content playing all that.
Here it comes!
And we do see the ballpoints play that Ljovynn set up a few turns ago. Will it finally pay off?
Or the guy with the memes about the dude with the tornado. Here it comes!
Exactly. Will it work out though? That's the big question right now.
No perfect clash.
It does, but Jack does get his combo off with the Fry 2 and the split. What was it? The Viper. And now we see Ljovynn get that perfect Rockenberg spots that they set up earlier. For another 2 special. And when Ljovynn has a lot more special and just a little bit more space, Jack does have a lot of spaces still to play with. But this E-leader might be enough to like get into the base and disrupts a little bit of what Jack is trying to do for the end game.
The thing that I find most impressive about this is despite Jack doing usual Jack things, Ljovynn is still very much in this game. He's got double Jack special points.
Yeah, it's a very even game, even though Jack has a lot more space to play with. It also depends, does Jack actually have anything to put in the space and also to block off this E-leader attack? Jack is kind of struggling with time, so we have to see if they actually get a card in time.
Nope, there's a pass. Shiver
There is
going
a
to the
pass.
discard pile.
So now suddenly Ljovynn is in a very good spot. Having a lot of space to play with.
It does not matter what you do with this reflex. It will be very
Uh,
mean.
It probably matters a little bit like where the special spots points to. And we see a slide clash. Ljovynn probably just playing the little jet, and this seems like after a very rough start, honestly, this seems like a very convincing game in favor of Ljovynn. Unless Jack can pull something out of the hat. Which, with how the specials are placed, there's still some possibilities that Jack can play a big card, can special a big card, and then have enough left over for another 312.
I find it worth mentioning that Ljovynn does not have access to the perfect 312, because even though Jack dropped a splatter color screen on like turn 4, the half of it already got overwritten by the card Ljovynn played that turn.
Exactly. Though I do think that Ljovynn has some good spots for the splatter color screen, especially like on the left. And we see the Zipcaster right here. Getting 2 specials back, but does Jack have another special? I don't think he does. So yeah, we see the give up. Ljovynn winning game 2 too, so we're going to the 3rd game right now, with the score being 1-1.
Keep playing? Yes, of course we want to keep playing. Are we on?
Let's see what map they're going. Jack was a little fast there, so it didn't quite catch the map.
I want to say it's the big box. It's box seats, but large. That one.
I thought so as well. It looked like square, so it makes sense. It's like one of the maps that Jack does quite like to play, and it is indeed square. So good call on your end. You did spot that perfectly.
But why would you pick this when box seats is right there?
No one likes box seats though. Shoutouts to my box seats haters. This is a very interesting opening from Ljovynn. Maybe not really getting the cards that they wanted to open with.
Yeah, I don't think in either of these draws Ljovynn saw anything bigger than a 12 or a 13 or so.
Exactly. Though the cards that are being played, honestly, taking up a lot of space and a lot of options from Jack, so it might work out actually. Since it seems like Jack doesn't really get many big cards either. Because at this point it's very hard for Jack to get over the top, and even at the bottom if they don't really have these good cards for it. So despite the honestly kind of weak opening cards from Ljovynn, they might be in a very strong position at the start regardless.
He's making do with what he's got quite effectively. We've got the that was a good read on Ljovynn's. On Ljovynn's play with the defensive play.
It's probably also maybe slightly favorable for Jack because they did get the complete Ljovynn without it being like overlapped, which can be big in the late game.
Yeah.
Since it's a very big card, so like getting it overlapped a lot would have kind of sucked for Jack. So honestly, I think both players were fine with how that turn went. And now Ljovynn probably gonna defend a bit more at the bottom, since that's where Jack can still go through. And we see Jack trying to get through and just barely not making it. But there's still a little bit of space left for a charger if Jack has it. So Ljovynn does try to block it off right now. I don't think Ljovynn also has anything to like aggro back, so...
I don't think Ljovynn really needs to aggro back, though. got the special block right in the middle. That's well positioned for something in a couple turns.
Exactly.
If I'm in Ljovyn's shoes right now, I'm trying to wall off the bottom.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
not
I
sure
do
which one
agree
of
with
these
that.
cards I'm doing that with, but
It also might not really be needed at the moment. And we see Ljovynn just try to like combine some special, and we see Jack also blocking off the only bottom side that they have left. That Ljovynn might have been able to get through.
oh, this is a funny wiper special.
That's a very nice Viper special for sure. Like if Ljovynn gets away with it, they suddenly have a lot more space to play with. And we have to see if Jack tries to counter it.
What does Jack
If
do
they
to
do
try to
come-
prevent this, though?
Honestly,
We've got the
that
captain
works
play.
pretty fine.
We've got the captain play. That's a good play. It uses the space. It's a good solid defensive play that just so happens to also mess up. Like, Ljovynn's plans aren't ruined, especially if he's got a diagonal card in there somewhere.
But looking at Ljovynn's deck, it doesn't really seem like they have that diagonal special. Though we just see a little bit of base combo from Ljovynn. Try to get a bit more special. It's a very even game right now. This could honestly still go either way. And I do like that crack on spots. Maybe the other way around.
Ljovynn's got a heck of a base combo here between the clam, power clam, and the crack on.
Exactly, like it fits very nicely together, honestly.
And
unfortunately, two of those specials are like half blocked off, but I don't think that matters too much right now.
This is a job for Burst Bomb.
The rare Burst Bomb win. And we see they're even on the special, but Ljovynn just has quite a bit point leads, so this looks very strong for Ljovynn, but what can Jack still do in these last few turns?
I bet Ljovynn's looking for a 3-for-2 somewhere so he can pass next turn and have another 3-12 for the last turn.
Exactly, and they do have a spot for it. Which is honestly kind of a funny play. You play a 3-12 for like a little bit of points, but it is the correct play here to just get a few more extra points. And if the alternative is passing, it's like always the correct play. But what can Jack do? Because Jack does have 5 special points, so with a good special, they might be able to clutch out a little bit of a win if they have something. And they do have something. And now Jack is actually in the lead with a very good special spot. Right at the base. So Jack might just be able to barely clutch it out with that very strong splat charge special in the previous turn. And I do think Jack got this.
I think Jack took that. His last turn special was better.
Yeah.
Jack wins by 5 points.
They very nicely played by Jack. Now up 2-1. Which means that if Jack wins the next game, they win the entire tournament. So this is like a lot on the line right now for both players. Ljovynn having to win 2 more games.
So.
Yeah, Jack is from winners, so Ljovynn has to win 2 more games to reset the bracket and have to play another set, where Jack just has to win 1 more game to win the entire tournament. And let's see where they're going.
It's time for the Sideways H. Don't ask me why.
They're going to the Mask Mansion.
Okay,
look like
if you were going to play this map, and you're going to build absolutely the most ridiculously, unnecessarily aggressive deck on this map possible, what would you bring?
I mean, probably the 2 ink brushes that we see on Ljovynn's deck right now. Like, that's very aggressively. Same with the Kraken Royale turn 2. A very aggro play, trying to block off as much as possible. And we see the gray wall getting even bigger than normal.
I don't think it's supposed to look like that. Was it looking like that 2 turns ago?
It's somewhat like that. Kind of similar, but don't worry about it. Ljovynn not really getting his big cards right now. So this doesn't look very great to start off.
Does he need his big card? So he drew both his ink brushes. Just
That's true. And wow, the Ilio Fry fits that perfectly. Like, it might be something that Ljovynn has cooked up on their own deck as well, so... But Jack was able to abuse that. And this already looks very rough. Already on turn 3.
yeah, Jack's base is in a little bit of a, like, it's not blocked, but good luck playing anything of any real value there now.
Exactly, like, Jack has a lot more spaces to still play cards from, but Ljovynn doesn't have that much. And still not really drawing any large cards.
See, these are the questions that you have to answer when you're building a Tableturf deck that make this game so much more interesting than it would be at first glance. You have to ask yourself, what happens if I'm playing this deck and both of my big cards are drawn on turns 11 and 12?
Yeah,
What's my game plan?
That is definitely something that you have to take into account when building decks. You want to kind of have like as big cards as possible, that you want to play as much as possible. If you have too many big cards, you risk bricking very early. But at the same time, if you don't have enough big cards, you might see what we have with Ljovynn right now, with just not drawing anything useful. And we definitely see Ljovynn struggling a lot right now. Just trying to make of it what they can. And Jack getting a very big overlap on that thing.
Yeah, that overlap was just not what Ljovynn needed this many turns. A communication error has occurred. Is the game still going?
It seems like Ljovynn has left. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
Let's see what they're saying in the Discord. Was that a...
It might have just been a DC, but we'll have to wait and see in chat what was going on.
You're gonna hang tight for a moment, chat. This is... waiting to hear back from Ljovynn. Was that an intentional DC? Did he get Nintendo'd? We are going to...
We just have to wait and see what
back
happens.
with you shortly.